we've gone over a lot of information, Yuki, and we are going to go over a lot more. We will be able to break these teams down as we draw their names and, give you guys a little bit more insight as to who is who. And hopefully we don't have too many very tough groups. But if we want to go into breakdown the pot system that we will be using, we can take a look here. We have 4 pots. Each pot has 12 teams. We will be randomly drawing a pot number. So Yuki will be drawing the number 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then I will be drawing a name from that particular pot. So each group, there are going to be 12 groups of 4. Each group will have 1 team from every single different pot. Pot 1 had all of the other teams from the top 16. And then if you go all the way down to pot 4, that is where the new teams are. And then the other teams throughout the other pots are seeded how they played in last year's World Cup.
Yes, definitely a way to sort of balance out how the groupings will be done. And yeah, really curious to see if we'll have any kind of repeat combinations from last year. I'm sure, some countries like Germany, United Kingdom, Peru, Costa Rica, I'm not sure if they want to repeat the same kind of combination again. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Definitely affects the teams that go into the qualifiers.
Yeah, it definitely makes the groups also slightly more balanced. We did have some very tough groups moving on last year, a couple of really tough ones to kind of fight through, some really strong European countries pitted against each other. The United States, Australia, and New Zealand were all put against each other in that last group. So, however, I think the time has come, Yuki. I think we need
I
to
know.
jump in and get started. I am actually going to be showing here as I draw so that you guys can take a look and see as well that everything is all kosher, everything's all good. So as we get started with this draft and drawing these names, Yuki, I think you got to give me a number first and then we can kind of just get going.
I do, yeah. So I have these 4 cards right here with the different numbers on them, and yes, all sleeved up in these beautiful Charizard sleeves. Hopefully, it's not giving Dominican Republic an advantage. I saw their logo is the Charizard, but yeah, let's go ahead and kickstart this. Let's see how we're gonna go. So I'll be face down, shuffling these cards, and let me pick the first number.
First number is
Number is
3.
3.
All right. So I have the hat full of all of my pots for number 3. And our very first pick of the draft is going to be, let me open it up here. It is going to be Portugal. So Portugal is going to be our very first team. Nice to be put right in Group A. A strong European contender. You always know that Portugal is, some very strong players. Their captain, Ruben Pereira, Puddles VGC, is definitely somebody that has been around for quite a long time as well. Started playing way back early in 2013. So I think it's going to be a really interesting team. You already pull out a very strong team, and they came in top 32 last year.
Yeah, definitely a strong showing from them already. Really interesting to see that there's only one manager on this team, so they'll have a lot of responsibilities. And yeah, really exciting to see what their management style is like. The way that the manager creates the culture of the team really affects the dynamic. So that'll be really, really important to see. So yeah, I think we're kicking it off spicy already. So maybe we can go ahead and go into Group B. So I'll do my little shuffle and
All right,
Group 1
pot one. So these were the
pot
teams that
one.
were the top. These were the teams that were the top pot or the top seedings last year beyond the top 8. So this team is full of some of the more spicier teams here, a little bit to pick from. And my drawing
Definitely.
is for Group B, number A. I wore fake nails for this, and they are hard to open these things that I folded. It is going to be Sweden. Sweden is going to be in Group B. Sweden has done incredibly well, especially as you kind of look towards the players and the managers for them. Sweden has a lot of really strong players. Pontus VGC is a name that has been around for a long time for me. Victor Larson, their manager as well. Lots of very good results between that team. And to me, they feel always like a little bit more of an underdog when you think about the Swedish countries or
Yes,
about the European
definitely.
countries.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think one thing to look out for is that a lot of these players have shown some results recently. For example, David Barker is qualified for the Worlds this year. It's really important to be drafting players who are playing in the current format, not just overall really strong, because we'll be playing in the current rule set. So that's also something we'll need to keep in mind as we look at the rosters of these different teams. But yeah, let's go and without further ado, go into Group C. And the number this time is
It's
2.
2. Okay. Alrighty. As I pull here, go. All right. Group C from pot 2 is
Hey,
going to be Ireland. So Ireland gets to come out nice and early. Ireland has a lot of players that are familiar to me. P. Don's Patrick Donegan, one of their managers, also gets to help out. Conna Johnston is actually one of our commentators, another manager on that team. So a really, I think Ireland is one of those teams that has a really great kind of cornerstone, and they have a really nice management team as well. So the players will be able to kind of learn a lot, but a lot of these players are pretty well qualified.
yes, great point on the management part. Like you said, P. Dons has been working as a manager for the Blizzards, I believe. So lots of management experience, and we see a lot of people who have been active. Like Angelo Hunter, Lemon Pie. A very 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 strong roster. So yeah, really excited to see where how P. Don uses his knowledge from the NPA over to the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. He did
Uh,
a great job as well last year, also being the World Cup coach for or manager for Ireland. So if we want to go on next number, I'm so nervous.
Definitely.
I'm so excited. My hands are very
I
sweaty.
know. And we've chosen different numbers every time, so let's see if the 4 is going to come out.
Two
And it's a
again.
2 again.
Alrighty. Two again. We're gonna pull, oh, grab it multiple. Here we go. The number I've pulled from group 2, and this is one that I know people are waiting on. Let me not hold it upside down. Is the United Kingdom. So the United Kingdom here going right out of the gate, a really early draw from me. United Kingdom has a lot of players that are very familiar to me. These players all do not have to travel far for Worlds if they are choosing to go in the next few weeks. Jamie Keane, one of their managers, Ben Kiriakou, another one of their managers. Ben Kiriakou doing commentary with us as well this season, along with Jamie Boyd. Jamie Boyd has a very interesting, fun, notable accomplishment in that his favorite Pokemon is Incineroar, and that was put in there for me to read. But again,
Mhm.
this team is incredibly talented. David Partington, another one of our commentators, Taryn Birdie just did very well at the North American International Championships as well.
Yes, definitely. They keep saying bringing it home. So really excited to see if that's what's going to happen. And yeah, one thing to note is that both Jamie and Ben, the two managers, are not going to be playing. They will just be in the management, so they'll be able to use their full time to just manage and make sure their lineup is solid and make sure everyone is prepped up. So yeah, the bandwidth on being able to dedicate to their team instead of their own plays should be really helpful for them. So yeah, really excited to see what kind of success we'll be seeing from them this year.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, let's see. Next one is going to be Group
One.
One,
We have still not drawn from group 4 yet. Group 4, I am very sorry. Or pot 4, forgive me. All right.
and we are 4 out of 4 with Europe. So let's see what you're going to pull this time.
Let's see what I'm going to pull. I am still pulling Europe, and I am pulling more big names. I have pulled France. So
Wow.
France will be the first one for Group E. This makes, again, Group E has become a very tough group if I can continue to pull some big names. France did incredibly well. Like you said earlier, that they had that huge upset against Japan last year.
Yes, and a lot of players who have just absolutely exploded in performance this year. Obviously it's not like they were not heard of before, but for example, we just see people like Thomas Gravuli and like Aurelien Sola. Thomas is notorious for his Shedinja team that he's been piling at every single event and just happens to make results every single time. Truly phenomenal player. And then Aurelien Sola Axier, as he goes by as his nickname, has been making top 4 or finals almost every single regional or international event he's been to this year. So two absolutely phenomenal players that are also being supported by a lot of people who are names in the community like Radium, Ethox, Red Silver. So many different players that we all pretty much know about. So yeah, really excited to see how they're going to perform this year. And I don't think we can even call it an upset anymore. Like there are people that we really need to watch out for.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely just one of those tougher group stages for them, though.
Definitely. All right. go into Group F, and it's going to be number
3.
3.
Have you palmed the 4 card? Are we playing TCG? Are you palming number 4?
Uh-oh.
I'm kidding.
Uh-oh.
I'm
No,
kidding.
not at
I'm
all.
kidding. And for Group 3, for Pot 3 for Group F, it is going to be the Dominican Republic. So the Dominican Republic going to be starting for them. Like you said, that logo is one of my favorites. Dominican Republic has it's kind of one of the teams that they did not get out of the qualifying stage last year, and a lot of players that are a little bit newer to the scene. Either a little bit newer. Dominican Republic is one of those countries that doesn't have access to as many regionals, but they're still a very talented team, very talented kind of overall, and I think we'll have a lot of fun watching them this season.
Definitely, and yeah, they have they have everything to lose. They can only go up from here. So really excited to see what they can prove to us in this group stage. So yeah, definitely a team to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see if I can take the 4 this time. Here comes a 4.
It is a
Oh, there
4.
you go.
There we go. All right.
I promise you, I'm not stacking.
The 4
Promise.
is the red Pokemon hat. I have used 4 different Pokemon hats to draw. So, all right. Okay. So, for Group F from Pot 4, we have South Africa. South Africa going to be one of the countries that, I think South Africa is a very underrated country in terms of their results. I think they are incredibly talented. There's a lot of players who are somewhat unknown on the global level, but have a lot of talent. Their whole circuit is, a little bit different for us. They have their own nationals and everything like that. But this is one of my favorite things about World Cup is being able to play these players who are not in the standard the circuit that, a lot of us are familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to echo what you said earlier, like the opportunity to have like Western players play Asian players who have different circuits. Same thing in this time. South Africa has a completely different circuit from us. We don't really have access to those players usually. So yeah, really excited that we get to see them, and yeah, what kind of other teams we'll have in the same group. So all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next group. All right.
Group 1. So I
1.
believe this is actually going to be going into this is going to actually be going to Group G, if I'm not mistaken. We might have just had a little bit of a name error if I'm not incorrect. However, oh no, I'm sorry.
Let's
I
see.
am correct. It was the Dominican Republic for our guy behind the scenes. It was the Dominican Republic in Group F as our first pick. So just to make sure that that does get put in there and we all get tracked. Alrighty though, for Group H, we are pulling our number from pot 1, and it is going to be Indonesia. Indonesia is another one of those countries that I feel like we have a lot of these players that I haven't gotten to really work with as much. Just because they're on the other side of the world. You and I, Yuki, we are 13 hours apart in terms of time zone right now, so you could not get more World Cup qualified than this. By having us literally be opposite sides of the world. Indonesia as well, around that same area, but you have to look at some of these players. Aldrich Jan is somebody who I feel like if you have a Twitter, you know who he is, just in terms of
Absolutely.
being in the VGC community. And then they have, again, a pretty stacked set of teams.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll just someone who you would see on ladder a lot, especially in the past couple seasons for Sword and Shield, and yeah, definitely someone you'd see on Twitter a lot. And yeah, they have 3 managers on this team, definitely rare, and means they have more management power to make sure that their lineup and prep is doing well every week. So yeah, I think we can expect to see a lot from this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's go for Group I, number
That
3.
is pot 3. I literally said I don't have an I. That was just me not paying attention. Alrighty. Here we go. From group 3, for pot 3 for group I, we have, sorry, forgive me. We have Uruguay. So now we are finally starting to get into that Latin American region. Uruguay is another team that I think is going to be, pretty strong. They have the Latin American circuit did not get as much love this year. After after the pandemic as it came back. They had already had their internationals, so it's a little bit tougher, for these players to experience this newer format. But a lot of very powerful players from the Latin American region. A lot of these players, just even looking at the information that I have, are pretty old school. They're going back to 2012, 2014, players that have been around for a really long time.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, excited to see what comes from this team. And I also just learned, I think that Miltank is that the shiny version? I've never seen it blue before, so that threw me off a bit. But yeah, it's a great hue.
Absolutely. Again, these logos have been absolutely amazing as we kind of move forward.
Definitely.
But
Okay. All right. Now we're moving on. Still in the last row over in Group J, I believe. Let's see.
yeah,
We
so we
have
have that number one there for pot one. Do you want to say also as well, just the Uruguay is in Group I, so we are now moving on to Group J. So, and that was number one, correct? That I just said,
yes, it was
Yuki?
number
Yes,
one.
okay. I just want to make sure. Ones and I's and everything. Making sure that I've got it. All right. From Group One, we have, ooh, I'm pulling another country, El Salvador. So El Salvador, are continuing our kind of streak in that Latin America's area. El Salvador, they placed in top 16 last year. They did incredibly well, moved on through that group stage. Lots of really interesting players here, lots of really good results. Players cap through LATAM for the Latin America. Carlos Ruano. Lots of really nice results here from these players. A lot of consistency, and again, just that player age, but also some newer players who have been able to kind of focus in on this particular format.
Yeah, and you can see here that there's a lot of representation in the Players' Cup. So, clearly a group that has been playing a lot through Sword and Shield. They've kept it up even through the pandemic times, which is super important. So, yeah, really excited to see, if they'll be continuing their success, in this the too restricted format that we're in right now for Series 12.
Yeah, and I feel like anybody who is pulling a top 16 group right out of the gate is, you got to be a little bit more afraid to kind of deal with those because they have that experience of this format. Their manager has the managerial experience of working with 8 other players throughout a format and selecting those teams and everything like that. So, should be interesting to see how their group fills out for the rest of this and kind of where we end up.
Certainly, certainly. All right, well, to fill up these groups, we got to keep going. So let's see for the next one we have.
Number 4, alrighty. So number 4 for Group K. Pull in
Exactly.
here. All right. We have a newcomer to the scene, actually. We have Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a team with a really fun logo. I know that they had been campaigning to get a new, to be a team this year. So I'm really excited to see how they do. Of course, when you're working in that European region and you're playing in the European region, stiff competition out there. There are no easy wins.
Yeah, definitely nail on the head. Any European country is gonna be really hard fought when competing in the same circuit as Spain, France, Italy, etc. So yeah, this will be their opportunity to step outside of that a bit, and obviously still face down a lot of competitive teams like the U.S., Japan, etc. But yeah, excited for them to go into the world stage and compete against a different kind of countries than usual.
Yeah, and it is very exciting to have these new countries. We did end up losing a couple of countries just between the changeover from 2021 to 2022, but we did get 4 new ones to make up for it. I'm loving having, seeing new logos. First of all, is always fun. The Luxembourg logo is incredibly cute, and we'll be able to kind of get a great feel for these players as the team goes on. However, though, we got to wrap up our very first set here, Yuki.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and finish it off with the first round for the groups in Group L, and we will be picking the number
Number
2.
2,
The top 2.
alrighty. Let me put my old hat back because I did not move it. Here we are in Group 2. And to wrap up our very first round, our very first 12 teams picked, we have Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is, again, another one of those kind of powerhouse areas. a lot of very talented players. They have a really interesting kind of circuit in that area, but you have a lot of, Hong Kong national championships, Hong Kong regional championships in here. Um, I think this is not going to be a easy team to beat.
No, certainly not at all. And yeah, I think they have a really strong, tight-knit community that, again, yeah, we just don't really have access to over in the West. So really excited to see how they'll fare up against people outside of their competitors. Even just look at the amount of accomplishments. There are so many Hong Kong like premier challenges, mid-season showdowns, even at nationals, and they have so many people with results there. For example, Ma Chun Young is a runner-up for the Nats for this year in Hong Kong. So, clearly we have some powerhouses here who have proven their results. Now they just need to prove it at the world stage in the World Cup.
All right. Well, Yuki, for us moving on, once again, we will be having almost like Sudoku here, one of each pot number in each group. So now when we go back to Group A, Yuki will be pulling a number that is either 1, 2, or 4, just so we keep everything even and balanced. So that is just something that, if Yuki accidentally pulls a 3, he'll just put it down and then pull another one. So I think as we go, we are going to start seeing how these groups shape up and who is going to be in a more dangerous group.
Yeah, this is definitely when we start to heat up and we get to see who's being matched up with who early on. So yeah, really an exciting part of the draft. So let's go ahead and get started here again. So for Group A, we're gonna go with pot
We are
4.
going from 4. All right. 4 finally getting, I think, a little bit more love and attention now that we have, gotten over not pulling it at first. But our Group 4 for Group A is going to be Austria. So Austria is going to be our first part to fill out Group A. Austria and Portugal, I think, is going to be a really interesting matchup. Austria themselves, they did not get out of the top 30 or out of the qualifiers last year. However, they still have a lot of pretty talented players. Lucas Ayor, who's one of the players there, has qualified for Day 2 Worlds. So that is going to, be another player to watch out for. They've got a lot of really interesting, a lot of really nice accomplishments, some top 32 in Lille, top 16 in Bremen for Christian Smiljanic. So I think, there are going to be a lot of players to kind of look out for, and especially if this group continues to wrap up and be, pretty threatening.
Definitely. And yeah, another player I want to pay particular attention to is Alexander Kuhn, or a lot of us might know him as Hibiki. He has been around in the community for a long time, and is especially tight with the Japanese community, I believe, because he can speak Japanese. So, clearly an international presence. And being able to read like the blog posts in Japan, for example, is a really big advantage. Knowing what's happening in the other countries. And just seeing that he already has a World's Day 2 invite, has made multiple tops cuts at regionals. Yeah, I think he's someone to definitely pay attention to, and can be sort of a guiding role in the team, even if you're not a manager. Like, it's really important to have those people on your team, even if you're not a manager, someone you can kind of like step behind. So yeah, really excited to see what kind of role he plays on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I think we should see who is going to be competing against Sweden in Group B. You're going to have to be pulling numbers from
Absolutely.
2, 3, or 4 for this one. And we are pulling from 4 once again. So from Group 4, and again, these have our newer teams in them too, Pot 4 does. So you're pulling, sorry, my hand's grabbing a couple by accident. From Group 4, we are pulling another new team, and this is going to be in Turkey. So Turkey was a team, that was a couple of players that were really, really dying to get somebody in, to get a team for this format. Their logo is awesome, having the shiny Zacian there. Really excited to see this team kind of come out. A lot of newer players. So it's, it's going to be, I think, a really nice experience for them to be able to compete at this level against other countries. It's another kind of region that we don't get to see a lot of FaceTime with those trainers. So it'll be a great experience for them moving forward.
Yes, definitely. As a new team, yeah, it's just exciting to just be involved. But who knows? You can just make it through the group in the qualifiers, maybe in the playoffs. You have nothing to lose, absolutely. So I'm excited for them to try ambitious, different team compositions, go for different lineups. Yeah, really excited to see how far they go.
Yeah, another thing that's notable is they do only have 7 players currently. So for those 8v8s, I believe they will have one player playing 2 matches. if I'm not mistaken here. But it is going to be really nice to have a new team on the scene, especially in a format where there are not a ton of people kind of moving, where not a ton of people that we know of who play the VGC.
Yes, definitely. And with a handicap like that, it's like if you can even just to make it through the group stage, it would be such an accomplishment. So yeah, really excited to see if they're able to do that despite the handicap.
Absolutely.
All right. So Group C, who will be paired up with Ireland? It will be someone from
Group
Group.
4 once again.
Ooh, maybe I
I
am
made
palming this time.
I know. I made fun of you for it, and now we're just only pulling it. But all right, here we go. This one should be fun. All right. From group 4, we have Australia. So Australia and Ireland, some fun time zones for those guys to deal with if they start playing. However, Australia is an incredibly talented team. They were just in a very tough group with the United States and New Zealand. So even though they did not get out of that qualifying section, it does not take away from anything. Megan Rattle, a player that had world's top 8 in 2019. Sam Banderas, who we kind of know as Zelda, he is, world's finalist, came in second place in 2017. Lots of really talented players. Henry Rich has done 3 regional finals, and he just won the Brisbane Championships as live events came back. There is, Christopher Kahn, another regional champion 3 times. Again, this is a really stacked team that I think is going to do very well in the group stages.
Yes, definitely. And, I think something to pay attention to is that from the Australia region, Oceania region, I believe there's only about 20 people who qualified for the World Championships this year. So, if you compare it to like the US that has close to 100 or the Europe that has over 120, you can really tell that the community is a lot smaller there, and we get such a big portion of it, right? We have, probably, more than 10 members in here. So, maybe even like half of the people who qualified for Worlds are part of this team. So it's just a really dense, team of talent. So, every single member has a lot of accomplishments. Yeah, really, really excited to see how they're going to do, especially with Ireland, which is also a team that has a lot of accomplishments and, management experience. So, yeah, I think we've already pulled the spice here. So I think it can only get more exciting. What do you think, Maeve?
Absolutely. And now we get to see who faces off against the United Kingdom, which is going to be, I think, another pretty spicy group. I think we've got a lot of good pulls already.
All right, and we're going to pull this time
Number
3.
3, alrighty. So for number 3, doing this here, putting that back. Oh no. Oh, here we go. I am bringing the spice. We are pulling Germany against the United Kingdom
Oh,
in Group D. So that is already shaping up to be a very tough group. No matter who else gets put in there, Marcus Statter, their manager, you really cannot help but know who he is. Incredibly talented, world's top 416. Maurice Uteg, their 2022 Bremen regional first place just this year. A ton of really talented players. Fevzi, another one, day 2 in Worlds, won the Champions Cup. Ike. There's so many talented players, and it already looks pretty daunting.
definitely. And yeah, I think this is I think there's so many things to call out here. But first of all, even just in terms of draft order, this is the exact drafting of Group B last year. We started off with the United Kingdom, and
No.
then we drafted Germany. So we're on our way to repeat history a little bit. So quite a frightening time. But yeah, just to focus back on Team Germany, yeah, a really, really exciting roster. And I think just the timeliness of it is going to be really exciting to follow because if you look at the accomplishments, for example, so you just talked about Marcus. So you saw that he made worlds in top 4 in 2016, made a couple regionals and IC top cuts in 2017, but really hasn't had that many results since then until this year, where out of the blue he makes top 8 at EUIC. And then makes day 2 at NAIC. All of a sudden, he has a day 2 invite. So yeah, he's already back in full force after a few years hiatus. You can see the same thing with Jonas Weigel. He got first place at a regional in 2017, and then really nothing until this year. Suddenly, he gets first place at a special event. So we have a ton of players who really have made a lot of results in this rule set, which is the most important because the World Cup, we don't play with the past rules. We play with 2022 rules. So yeah, Germany might have gone eliminated, within the Group B stage last year, but I don't know if we can see the same thing this year. I think they're definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, however, they were knocked out by the UK last year, so that's going to be something I think that the United Kingdom has to once again worry about. But now we get to see who plays France.
Exactly. So for Group E with France, we're going to pair up someone from Pot 3.
Pot 3. All right. Not looking. Here we go. All right. So from pot 3, ooh, this one should be fun. From pot 3, we are pulling Mexico. Mexico is another country, one of the few from North America that, of the three of us, I feel like there are a lot of players in Mexico who have a lot of talent and we don't always get to see it. However, they have a lot of results. They have a couple of different special events, in Mexico itself and kind of in that area that they do get to work with and play with. A lot of interesting national results. A lot of Rose Tower cuts, a lot of grassroots cuts. Christian Vargas actually was the top 8 in our Victory Road Circuit Spring Series, number 2. So, and then he also was top 8, top 16 in the Grand Finals of Desafio LATAM. So a lot of really consistent results in just this season.
Yes, definitely. And we see a good mix of, Rose Tower, the Desafio, and actual like official tournaments like regionals and nationals in this roster. So a good balance of, playing in the remote setup, but also in real life events. So let's see if they can use this diversity and experience to their advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And
All
then for
right.
Group F, let's see. We pull these
Going to
numbers.
be
It's going to be from number
Group
2.
2.
So who is going to be facing the Dominican Republic in Group 2? It is going to be, there we go. It is going to be Vietnam. Vietnam will be our group for Group F, will be our pot 2 drawing against the Dominican Republic. Vietnam, a lot of really interesting results here. They do work kind of out of that Oceania circuit. Their manager, both of their managers are not playing, but do have some good results to their name. Malaysia Regional Top 16, Harrogate Regional Top 64 in 2018, 2019. But a nice large size team where they can definitely play to their players' strengths and weaknesses, and a lot of old school players, but a lot of new school players as well.
Yes, definitely. And as you said, Arcadio, sorry, one of the managers, yes, having two big finishes at regionals, definitely going to be helpful and guiding more of the newer team members. One of the manager's responsibility, not just deciding on the lineup, but also helping coach the younger players. Might not have as many experiences in the official circuits. So yeah, really excited to see how much he can carry the team there.
Agreed. Absolutely.
All right. Over into Group G for South Africa, we have
Number 2. Alrighty.
two.
So from pot 2, we're going to pull. Interesting. We are going to pull Panama. Panama was a group that I think did pretty well last year, all for a pretty tough kind of grouping that they were in. They came in that top 32, so they did move on into that second stage of competition. Some world's competitors in here. A lot of different, a lot of nice kind of newer players here. Some of these players, they say they started playing in 1998 and 1999. So again,
Wow.
a lot of old school players in here. Competitive wise, it's pretty exciting to see people that have been so into the game for almost as long as it's been around.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that was back in the days when I believe if Hyper Beam KO'd the opponent, then you don't get the recharge or something crazy like that. So, they've seen many formats change ever since then. Lots of history behind there. So, let's see if they can use their knowledge to the test. So many times and in testing, even if it's something that didn't happen in this current format, you would use inspiration from a previous format, and that would help come up with team ideas or strategies. So let's see if they can do something like that with their experience from way back when.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right. So next we have Group H. We're almost 2/3 there for this round. We have
Number
pot three.
3. Alrighty, for pot 3 against Indonesia. Should be interesting as well. We are pulling Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is going to be going up against Indonesia in the group draw stage. So Costa Rica did not get out of the first stage in last year's set of competition, but there are a lot of results in here for these players. You know, some regional championship top 16 by David Rodriguez, who's one of their captains. You know, and I think a lot of players that have been kind of once again around for a while, but have a lot of pretty good results. Costa Rica's 2016 regional champion in Leonardo Chinchilla Bonilla. So I think that'll be pretty interesting as well to kind of see how these guys kind of shape up.
Yes, definitely. And I guess from personal experience, I've definitely recognized David in this, one of the managers who I believe actually played in the World Cup probably 2 years ago. And yeah, I was just really blown away by his playing, and which makes sense just looking at, being a champion of two special events. A really, really phenomenal result to have. On top of the many regional champions we have, like Leo, who was a 2016 regional champion. Lots of results here. So yeah, I think they can definitely be giving Indonesia a hard time in this group.
Absolutely, and we'll have to see, especially because I am on kind of a run of drawing some Latin American teams here. If I continue to pair somebody up against Uruguay,
That's right. Let's see what happens here. So in Group I,
you're
pull
pulling
from
from
pot
pot
one.
1. Alrighty, pot 1. I feel like pot 1's been a little bit neglected so far in this set of the draft, so should be interesting to see. Oh man, this actually is going to be, I think, very interesting. We are pulling Brazil. So Brazil and Uruguay here. Both of these teams from the Latin American region. Brazil, of course, incredibly tough team to beat. Gabriel Agati, we all saw how he did last weekend at North American International Championships, just came in second place. You know, they have a lot of really talented teams. They came in top 16 last year as well.
Yes, definitely. I think he has a pretty legendary showing in this rule set where I believe he qualified for a travel award just with participating in the online international challenges, and then proceed to just become a finalist at the NAIC. So, a truly incredible manager that they have to hold their backs. And yeah, we have just a lot of great players here. And yeah, I think Latin America, they tend to have I guess a lot of nationalism, not even just in their own country, but Latin America as a whole. But now we kind of have to pit them together in the same group. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, but that also might mean we get more Latin American representation in the qualifier stage. So yeah, really excited to see who we also even pair up in the last two. We might end up just having Uruguay and Brazil, both Latin American teams, go up into the qualifying.
Absolutely. And then we get to pair somebody against El Salvador in that next group. So they're pulling from a pot 1 to a number 4 here. So that should be, I think this is where it gets pretty interesting, right? Because then you get to kind of see how you think these groups are going to shape up, especially with new teams. It can always be pretty unpredictable. This one, speaking of new teams, I believe is Israel. So Israel is a team that whose logo I absolutely love, being that Dialga that they have used. And they had a really great opening video. They are not a new team, sorry. They came in qualifiers of last year. There are 4 new teams. I was mixing them up with another. However, they have a lot of really cool results here. National Championship of Israel for Dov Joseph Goldman Aloof, who's one of their managers. Enosh is one of their players, and Enosh is a very old school, player who lives in the United States, world's top 8 in 2013, national second place 2013, somebody that you really always have to pay attention to. Incredibly talented player, talented team builder as well.
Yes, definitely. And OSHA, someone who is on the kind of the organizing side of NPA, which is, a circuit or I guess a tournament system kind of the size of World Cup. So, has a lot of experience understanding how not only how these tournaments work, but also what the winning strategies are. He's seen kind of what kind of teams succeed and what strategies work in terms of the lineups and, how much you scout out the other team's players. So really excited to see, if he can be kind of that guiding role like we talked about earlier. Might not be the manager, but can still be someone that the other players rally behind with all the experience of even getting like top cuts and second place regionals. So yeah, really excited to see how far they go. And like you said, just absolutely in love with their logo. I mean, they have a Jirachi cameo with the Dialga. What can't you love about it?
Absolutely. And now we get to see who Luxembourg in their very first World Cup showing gets to play. They get to go for their pot 2 pick now. You know, I think it's always interesting as well when you have a new team, when how you see exactly how well they're going to perform, and you know these players that may not have gotten a chance to do World Cup because there wasn't an organized team for them yet. However, they are going to be playing. They're going to be playing Finland. So Finland is going to be going up against Luxembourg in Group K. Two great European teams. I think that they're going to have a lot of fun playing against. Finland did not get out of the qualifiers last time, but they are run. Oliver Eskelin is their manager. Second at EUIC 2022. So he's already pretty dominant in this format, somebody that you have to pay attention to. Lauri Halonen literally just had a very great run at NAIC just last weekend as well. A lot of strong players here. You have Lumi, who is a Hatterene Cup 1 top cut. So it's great to have kind of the female representation with two female players on their team with Lumi and Rhea. So I'm very excited to see how this kind of wraps up for these players. There's a lot of names on here. I think this is a team that definitely underrated, and they have a lot of opportunities kind of moving forward.
Yeah, definitely agreed. And I'm getting kind of similar to like Germany vibes from this team in the sense of a lot of players who had a lot of success in the earlier formats, maybe took a little bit of a break during the pandemic, didn't play in the remote circuit, and then boom, this year suddenly made a lot of results. OE, like Oliver Eskelin is a great example of that. Making top cuts at regionals in 2019, not really having anything in between, but then boom, top 4 regionals, and then second at EUIC. And then same with Lauri Halonen. Lots of results in 18 and 19, nothing, and then boom, top 32 NAIC. And I believe they actually started 7-0, so really commanding day 2 finish for Lauri's. So yeah, really excited to see if they're going to be continuing their success in the 22 season as 2022 season part of the World Cup.
All right, well, let's wrap up our second row of names. We are having wrapped up our first 24 picks. This means that we will be halfway through. So Yuki, give me the pot number for this. See who's going to have to go up against Hong Kong. Pot 3. Alrighty. Let's see. So for pot 3, I'm going to grab that. Pot 3, we have Bolivia. Bolivia will be playing against Hong Kong. Bolivia is another one of those teams that has a really strong Latin American presence. They got top 32 last year. Lots of really cool results for kind of their local events and then even some special events. Giovanni Aranabar, who is one of their managers, was the champion of a special event in Chile in 2020. A lot of players that I think have some really consistent results, even just on the local level. Some who have played in Worlds before as well. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they end up playing.
Yeah, and it looks to me like about half their team has started playing in 2020 since the Sword and Shield era. So yeah, a lot of expertise in 2020, and even just the involvement in the Players Cups or the premium challenges, the MSSs before the pandemic hit. All that experience should be really pivotal for them to advance over to the qualifying stage. So yeah, we're about halfway through the draft now, and we're starting to see what the vibe is in each group. Really, really exciting. I guess we can just go ahead and kick it off to the third round. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'm interested to see how some of these groups shape up.
All right. So first one we got either 1 or 2, and it's going to be
That is going to be
pot
1. So going up against Portugal and Austria here for pot 1 is going to be, and here we go, another big name, is going to be Japan. So Japan, Austria, and Portugal. I think this will be a really interesting set. Japan, of course, only got to top 32. They are a team that is always strong, always, we saw literally today with our World Cup Open, there were 7, I believe, players from Japan there. I think there were more players from Japan than any other region. And when you have a world champion on your team, you have national champions on your team, you have world championships, top 4 players on your team, you cannot go wrong with the level of talent that Japan has.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously you might be a little bit biased there, but yeah, there's a lot of multiple, world champions or runner-ups there. And just such an intense circuit that you have here. You have to play in an online qualifier and then qualify for national championships from that. And then from that national championships on that one day, you need to do better than at least half the players to get the world's invite. So just a really high pressure, intense environment. So I guess it's only natural that you get such powerhouses from this region. One thing that is pretty unique about maybe not just Japan but any region that doesn't have its own circuit with a championship point system is that you have less events to attend during the year outside of the nationals qualifying events. So you play a lot of the ladder, which is all best of one. But in the format that we play here, it's actually best of three. So there's a lot of differences and nuances between the two formats where you don't want to expose too much information in best of three, whereas in best of one, you're really unlikely to rematch them later. So you're okay to pull out all the guns and play all the ally switches that you want. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do the conserving the information game that's not really part of best of one.
Yeah, again, a couple other things I did want to mention. Kentaro Matsumoto is the 2022 Japan National Champion, so you immediately have that very strong format knowledge. And along with the Japan National Championship, Yosuke Takayanagi was in the top 16 of the national championship, and so is Shuji Endo. So you have, three players who did incredibly well in this last format in their nationals and will be competing at Worlds, in just a few short weeks.
Definitely, yeah. Really important to have those people who've shown their results in this current rule. So, yeah, we'll see if Japan can get it past get into the qualifying stage first. Obviously, Portugal and Austria are not going to make it easy for them, but even if they do, if they can get past the qualifying stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go on to Group B, though. I do think, Kiku, you might need to be hurrying it up a little bit. We are taking our sweet time, I feel. So
All right,
let's
let's go ahead and go with Group B. The third pick is going to be from pot 3.
Pot 3 for Group B against Turkey and Sweden. We are going to be pulling Colombia. Colombia, I think, was another team that did pretty well last year. Colombia has, they were still they did not make it out of the qualifying group, but I believe they were in a pretty tough group. Lots of talented players, Latin American qualifier for Players' Cups, a couple top 16 players. Christian Andre won a special event in 2017. Multiple, he's qualified for Worlds in 2016. So they have a lot of experience, a lot of old school experience as well on this team. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially against a newcomer like Turkey and then kind of a powerhouse like Sweden, how they end up doing.
Yes, definitely sort of the two extremes in that group. So let's see. And on the other side, Group C, Ireland and Australia, as we talked about, a lot of veterans. So we'll see how they get paired up here. Sorry, I need to shuffle my cards a bit. 1 second. So it's going to be either 1 or 3, and we are going to be choosing
From 1. All right. So these are usually the teams that I think kind of throw the biggest wrench in the game. So we'll see who draws from pot 1. And we have pulled Argentina. Argentina, I know, did very well last year. Did not make it into that top 8, but I know that they were moving pretty close. They got to that top 16 stage. An amazing logo. Lots of really great players. Juan Francisco Salerno, Juan Fi, literally just came in at bare minimum top 4 today. Did beat Joe UX9 in top 8 of our Victory Road World Cup Open. So, lots of talent on this team.
Yes, definitely. Wang Fi, a force to be reckoned with a lot of the accomplishments like OCIC champion 2019, runner-up in a special event in 2020. Definitely going to be putting the team behind his back. So, really excited to see how far that team will go. Group C is looking scary, but Group D is what's scaring me a lot, and we still haven't even pulled from pot 1 yet. So we'll see if that's what's going to be pulled here. And right now, we get
pot 4. So Group D is going to have to wait a whole nother go around just to find out who exactly they have to play here. And, none of the options no option is fun, but they will be playing Honduras. So Honduras is going to be I think it's not in Europe, so they are facing some time zones, and they did not get out of that qualifiers last year. But it is really nice to have, a team with, a lot of players that a lot of them are kind of newer to the scene, but a lot of them are also older. The manager's been playing since 2008 at Andres Eduardo Coutinho, but there's still a lot to be said for these teams with this newer experience, because they can throw you for a loop, because you might not realize how good that they can be, or if these players haven't gotten a chance to kind of show themselves off in an online format yet.
Definitely, yeah. If you if you don't have anything to scout off of, how are you supposed to be counter teamed? So they definitely have the information advantage there. So we'll see how much they can put that to use.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
For Group E, France and Mexico, we have someone from Pot 2.
Pot 2. So this one should also be interesting. France and Mexico. France is, of course, a team that is just absolutely horrifying. If they came back with their baguettes this year for their logo, which I believe they did, then it's going to be, I think, not only humorous for us, but tough for their opponents from New Zealand. So a pretty strong opponent there. New Zealand and the United States were, of course, in that group that advanced over Australia. So New Zealand is going to be incredibly tough to handle. Their manager, one of their managers is not playing. However, you have the 2022 Melbourne Regionals 18th and Patrick Dawson. You've got you've got a lot of Players Cup successes. Alex Donaldson, their 2022 Perth semifinalist as well. So lots of talent on here. It's not an easy region to play, especially against Australia, where there's so much condensed talent.
Yeah, and every name you brought up just now all seem to have started playing in 2020. So really, really well versed with Dynamax formats. So yeah, let's see if they can put that knowledge to good use here. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Group F then. Dominican Republic, Vietnam, and a team from Pot 4.
4. Alrighty. Pot 4, and we are pulling. All right. This one should be interesting as well. We have from Pot 4, we have Belgium. And Belgium again, all these European teams, they all to me are very terrifying. Even though these guys once again did not get out of the out of the qualifying stage last time. One thing that I have to look at is a lot more results, I think, and some really great talent that has come up. Diego Femere Cruz, Bremen top 16, Lille top 54. That is somebody that has some really consistent, decent results in this format this year. And, they'll be able to bring that Series 12 knowledge moving forward.
Yes, definitely. Another team with, not too many official results. So again, the scouting, good luck to the other teams. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. So they have the information advantage.
Absolutely.
All right. Next with Group G, South Africa and Panama, we're going to pull Pot 3.
Pot 3. Alrighty. So from Pot 3, playing South Africa and Panama, we have Norway. And Norway was a team that I know is also one of the more underrated teams. I feel like they did not get out of that qualifying, but they have a lot of results here. Ola Nordby, one of their managers, has, a lot of consistent results, also has been doing the managerial work for a long time here. One of their players, Sam Plasgaard, has qualified for the World Championships this year, will be playing on day 1. And, I think there's a lot of, I think this team has a lot of talent, but they have a great managerial team who can help guide some of these newer players.
Yeah, Brett VGC is someone that, we hear a lot about on Twitter these days. Hopefully being able to use that knowledge from Twitter and, just be able to carry this team. Having someone that has the day 1 invite is really, really big. Clearly has, competed at that stage to get the championship points necessary. So we'll see how much they can guide the team.
Absolutely. And moving on for Indonesia and Costa Rica as well, be pulling from either pots 2 or 4. You have pulled from pot 4. Once again, I'm really excited. I'm hoping I get to pull some of these new team names. I'm running out of number 4s here too, Yuki. I'm getting pretty close. And here is another new team, Egypt, who I think has my favorite logo of the 4 new teams. Egypt has a lot of players. These guys fought to become a team. I remember a lot of stuff on Twitter to see if they could form a team.
Yeah, and I saw the same thing as well, looking for teammates, and with that dedication, especially among the managers, you can see that there's a dedication and a passion to represent their country in the World Cup. So they're going to be driven. They're going to put in the time to prepare for every week. So new team, anything can happen, and we already see a lot of results. For example, we have Tapudina having top 16 at Katarine Series 1 and 3, getting first place at Moxie Boosted Summer Showdown 2018, and multiple top cut finishes in Premier Challenges and mid-season showdowns. So yeah, someone with a lot of experience that the other players can get behind, really, really important. Yeah, and with the two managers, I think they're in good hands. So yeah, really excited to see how far they can take their inaugural season.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely excited to see kind of how that plays out for them. But now though, let's see if I draw another Latin American country. I don't know if I have many left to draw from for Uruguay and Brazil. Pulling from pot 2 here, and that is going to be I did do it. I have pulled
Wow.
Guatemala. These guys
Oh
are all going to be
man.
fighting in the same time zone. So I guess that is the one upside to it. However, Guatemala got the top 32 last season, did incredibly well. Lots of really good results here. Their manager, Juan Manuel Santizo, Teca VGC, has, a top 64 EUIC 2022, top 64 NAIC 2022, top 32 Milwaukee 2022, and the El Salvador special event winner in 2020. And they have not been playing much longer than 2020. So it's a lot of consistent results from a manager with a team that I think has a lot of talent.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, all those accomplishments you just talked about were all in the 2022 season. And probably basically every event he went to, he made day two or something with the top 64 finishes. So really, really impressive. Same with Andres Samoyoa, who's also the co-manager, making day two for World Championships, getting the stipends at both of the 2022 international championship events. So yeah, a really strong manager lineup and a lot of players with special event champion and runner up. For example, Pablo Aldana. Same with Manuel Ruano getting a qualification players cup 3. Just lots of results. So yeah, I think we can really expect a lot from this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Jonathan Melendez is another player who's very familiar to a lot of players, goes by Waka Puff Online, has some really great results. Has the Day 2 World in 2016, has 3 top 16 regionals in 2018, Top Cut US Nats 2016, a player that's been around for quite a while and very familiar to a lot of current players in the format.
Definitely. All right, we're starting to wrap up the third round here in Group J. We're gonna go with
You're going with
pot
pot
2.
number 2. Alrighty. So Israel, their new team, and El Salvador, their pot 1 team opponent, they are going to be facing down. Ooh, they're going to be facing down Taiwan. So Taiwan is a really interesting country, right? I think one of those countries that you always are worried about. I mean, I'm just looking at the spreadsheet that they have given me, and their 4 most notable accomplishments, everybody has something completely filled. It is absolutely terrifying.
Yes, absolutely. Taiwan, I mean, God, just looking at all this is just, I can't even read through all of them. There's so many day twos, so many top eights at different regionals, a lot of people in different parts of the world, clearly, some people going to the regionals in Taiwan, some in the US. Yeah, just a huge breadth of experiences. So we can expect a lot from this. I mean, I can't believe it. And yeah, they were not able to get out of the group stage last year, so I'm sure they can definitely surprise us this year.
Yeah, a lot of great results. 2022 Taiwan Nationals top 4 for Dawei Yang. And there are so many results. It's one of those teams that I'm amazed that they did not do as well as, getting out of their stage qualifier, but I believe they were in a pretty tough group last year as well. So, all right, well, let's continue to wrap up. Let's see for Group K. It's either going to be pot 1 or 3, and pot 1 is pretty terrifying, and we've had a lot of strong pot 3s. Pot 1 here, pulling for Group K, is going to be, it's going to be Chile. So Chile is going to have the Group K challenge here. And Chile is a really interesting team. They got top 16 last year. We had a lot of really strong Latin American teams, and this was one of them. And they once again have a lot of accomplishments to just their general name.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at Javier Valdez, someone who made day two with a really commanding team. I believe he won 9-0 at the European International Championships with a wheezing team that didn't have Reggie Gigas, which is a huge surprise to everybody. Yeah, just phenomenal player. And yeah, so many other players like Sebastian Parra got top 32 and the Victory Road to Columbus Tour. We have Sebastian Lebos, who also got a top 4 at the same Road to Columbus tournament, as well as the Santiago Regional in 2022. So yeah, lots of accomplishments in this team, backed by the Iron Nemesis that I'm sure many of us know about. So yeah, a really trusty manager and a trusty team. I think we can definitely expect a lot from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though Javier Valdez is not playing, he brings an absolutely massive breadth of experience with him and his co-manager just to the entire team itself. So that's they have a lot of knowledge and a lot of a lot of information that they can pull from and a great support group through their managerial just through both of their managers being so incredibly talented.
Definitely. Okay, let's wrap up this third round before we go to the final rounds. With Hong Kong and Bolivia, we're gonna have someone from pot
Pot
one.
one. Alrighty. Hong Kong and Bolivia, pot one. We are kind of getting close here. There is, again, we're hitting our 3/4 of the way through. And pot one is going to be the Netherlands. So it is going to be Hong Kong, Bolivia, and the Netherlands for Group L to wrap up here. They also got in that top 16. Incredibly talented. Even some of these names on here, if you want to go through them, some pretty strong names for this.
Yeah, we have the AJ Andreas Bosa, that has on World's Invite 4 times, very clearly consistent in the Pokemon VGC. We have Sean Martins getting top 32 at the Bremen Regionals, made day 2 in top 64 at the European International Championships this year. So yeah, 2 players and I guess 1 manager who have a lot of results from this rule set. And yeah, just lots of talent here. Having competed in the European region that we have said time and time again how competitive is over there. So yeah, and just the last person to mention is Nick Holmer here. Got 6-1, 6 wins and 1 losses at the World Cup last year. So just a really impressive win-loss rate, someone that can carry the team. So yeah, really excited to see how far they'll go this year. They made top 16 last year.
All right. Now we get to wrap up all the groups, and you do not have to pull numbers for me anymore because thankfully,
No more accusing me of palming cards.
I'm so sorry. I know. Absolutely so rude of me moving forward. All right, though, to wrap up Group A with Portugal, Austria, and Japan, we have Ecuador, and Ecuador is going to be with all of these teams. Ecuador, another very strong team. Latin American champion or Latin American area is very strong. Of course, you cannot forget Paul Ruiz. Looking at this roster lineup, one of their managers, world champion in 2018. Again, an absolutely insane amount of talent just from him alone. But the rest of their team is also incredibly stacked.
Yes, and I remember he was talking before on Twitter about how especially for Ecuador, for example, it's really hard to travel to some of these events due to some of the visa requirements. So even if they're part of Latin America, they're technically part of the championship point system. Again, might be a region where they might not have so much access to the other parts of the world to travel internationally. So this might be an opportunity for them to really prove themselves in the playing against the other countries. And yeah, they were not able to make it out of the group stage last year, but with Rolf Dude, backing them, I think they definitely have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of really great results as well. Special event champion 3 times for Juan C. Ortiz, and then top 32 Milwaukee Regionals in 2022 for Gallo Orbea. So, a lot of really great results. But now we get to move on. Same exact pot actually for Group B.
Yep.
Both of these had 1, 4, and 3 drawn. So I am getting down. I believe I only have, looking at this, I do not have many left. So I'm going to shuffle it so that I don't look at it. There we go. We have from Group 2 for pot 2 for Group B, we have Poland, and Poland is another one of those countries that is incredibly strong, and that makes that Group B a pretty tough one. I feel like you've got a lot of strength all around. Turkey being the newcomers, they do have a lot to look forward to with some of these matches that they'll be able to play, but I mean, Bartosz Eckert, their manager themselves, top 8 at a bunch of different events. Bremen, Frankfurt, Cannes special event, 8 Tours special event. And then, if you continue on, there's a lot more here going on.
Yeah, just a lot of people that are recognizable, like Fiona, known as Yoshin Lugia online, has gone top 16 at the Vancouver regional in 2022 and has qualified for Worlds 3 seasons in a row. Phenomenal player, also phenomenal streamer, and Simone Wojat who also has been playing since 2012, has been a familiar face in the scene for a long time. Having a player like that is really, really great. And yeah, let's see if they can, get to at least the top 32 finish they got last year, and then hopefully even further than that.
Yeah, I mean, Diana Bros's Eshi is another player too that I definitely do not want to skip over. Madison Regional Champion in 2016. Lots of day two cuts. I know she's done very well in the Hatterene series as well. Philip Ijak, also, 2022 Liverpool top four regionals, 2022 Lille 10th place for the regionals there. Again, there is a lot of talent on this team, a lot of talent and a lot of confidence. So we'll have fun with that for commentary as I get to ask them how to pronounce their names.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, and so then
All
for Group
right.
C, we are pulling from pot number 3. So Ireland, Australia, and Argentina here. They get
This
to
is
have
looking like a powerhouse already.
I
I'm
know,
not
this
sure.
one is also horrifying. And then we get to have Argentina and Venezuela. So Venezuela will be joining Argentina from that Latin American region. Venezuela, again, another one of those teams that is, I think, pretty one of those teams that doesn't have as much results backing as some of the other ones. However, they are still a really they're a very talented team, and they did, even though they did not make it out of qualifying last year, it is still something that you have to be careful of. I know Bubbles VGC is a name that is very familiar to me with Mario Stefani, and then they even have their top four for their national in Ecuador in Alejandro Ordonez as well.
Yes, definitely. And Carlos Parica, who many of us might know as Crazy Mix, also someone that has been prevalent in the scene for a very long time, has definitely been, what we call like a ladder hero, really topping the ladder consistently. So some of that kind of caliber and experience would be really beneficial for that team. So yeah, really excited to see how Venezuela does this year.
All right, let's go on, Yuki, because this one I think is going to be the big draw. I'm pulling from
Oh
pot
yeah.
1 for Group
Oh
D,
yeah.
who is going to be playing the United Kingdom, Germany, and Honduras. I don't know who this is. I am interested. Okay, so that is going to round out that group, it is going to be Malaysia. Malaysia is one of those groups that, again, also did very well last year. Was not able to make it, of course, in the top 8 with this top 16 finish, but this Malaysian team is absolutely full of talent, and they did incredibly well last year.
Yes, definitely. A lot of a region that has their own regionals, and we have the managers. Leong Su Sun got in top 4 at the Malaysia regionals in 2016, and has done well at other ones as well. We see Gary Eng getting a finals position in their national tournament this year. So yeah, someone with impressive results this year already. Also participating in the other regions like in Australia, like Lim Shao Tung goes by Dudufeng Online, was a champion of the mid-season showdown in Melbourne. So lots of interesting players. And last to note is Yongwei Ho, known as JoJo VGC Online, has gone top 4 at the nationals this year. So yeah, lots of accomplishments from even just the nationals in Malaysia this year.
Yeah, and Khairul Fahmy as well also had a top 4 in the Malaysian National Championship in 2022. So again, a really strong group to round out Group D, which does look absolutely terrifying. But I think Group E is another one that we are looking to round out. Pulling from pot 4 here for France, Mexico, and New Zealand. So both of these three teams are going to be able to look and see who they're playing. And it is going to be Denmark. So Denmark is one of the teams also that did play last year. They are not new to the scene. So I think Denmark will be benefiting from having a bit more experience, especially with these 3 other very talented teams. Frederik Nielsen, top 8 at Brenham Regionals 2022, and a couple of other great 2022 results in here as well.
Yes, definitely. We have Nicola Ho Nielsen getting top 32 at the EUIC in 2022. Really, really impressive. Top 32 at the Bremen regionals. So we have some talent from this year's results and some others who might have even started way back when, like Bassam TXP. His Twitter started in 2013. So a whole breadth of difference in experiences here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of different experiences in that Group E. I think it's going to be a pretty challenging one. Group F, though, to wrap up, I am pulling from pot 1. So again, these are kind of those names that did very well
Nice
last
spot.
year. And
What can
then,
Maeve cook up here?
huh?
I said, what can Maeve cook up here from pot
Oh,
1?
Absolutely terrible. I cannot cook. However, what I can bring you is Peru to face off Dominican Republic, Vietnam, and Belgium. Peru is a very talented team. They kind of, I think, came out, yes, like last year, and I think they were a little bit more of a shock to people to see how well they did. But they have a lot of talented players. Even just, Renzo Navarro, that Players Cup 4 champion. And then, I mean, you can just run down the line with how many accomplishments these guys have.
Yeah, they had an absolutely phenomenal run last year, knocking Germany out of the Group B. So they were part of the infamous Group B last year, knocking out Germany, and then at the same time also knocking out Japan in the qualifying round by tying and making sure that they stay in the qualifying round. So really impressive. We have like Renzo Navarro, who was the champion for Players Cup 4, just absolutely impressive. We have another champion in Diego Gutierrez in the Santiago 2022 regional champion. Orlando Luna was a finalist in the Santiago Regional 2022. And then finally, Jorge Baca was the top 4 in that same Santiago Regional. So yeah, just lots of talent, lots of champions, and all in the same rule set. So they were an upset last year, and you can't even call it an upset this year if they do well. They're just an established base.
All right, I have my very last pot one pick. For those of you keeping track, you will know who this is. I have not, so this is a surprise to me. It is going
Okay.
to be India. So India with South Africa, Panama, and Norway. India is another one of those countries that we don't get to see all too often just because their circuit is different than ours. So it is always fun to see them play. Of course, got top 32 last year, did incredibly well, and it's really fun to see all of these players. A couple of really interesting ones. Vishy and Raghav, both players that have done incredibly well in the American circuit, but get to play for India in World Cup.
Yes, definitely. And just looking at this list here, you have a lot of people who started out in the 2015 or 2016 or started in the beginning of 2020. But we have one player who just started last year in 2021, Nishant Joshi, but got top 16 as their first regional in New Jersey. Really impressive finish, just having started last year. And we have Connex VGC, Rohan Vangal getting top 32 at the Milwaukee Regionals. We have Rowan Hall getting top 16 at the New Jersey Regionals. And then finally, we have Chirayu Gupta, who got top 8 at the Milwaukee Regionals with the very unconventional Zacian Reshiram combination. So lots of innovation happening. And yeah, we see a lot more, familiar faces like Rajan Ball and Varun Gudapati, Nikhil Reddy. So yeah, great mix of experienced players and newcomers. Should be a great team.
Yeah, and it's another one of those teams that I think people don't always realize how much talent is put on there. But now for Group H, we will be moving from pot 2, and this is my very last pot 2 draw as well. So not too much to shake up here in this hat. I'm going to put that back, and we will see they are going to be playing. This is Canada. So Canada, Costa Rica, and Egypt. This is a really interesting group to me. I don't think I would have ever pulled these in my brain to play together,
Yes.
but I think it's going to be really interesting. Indonesia, Canada is another one of those teams that is just, it's always been well regarded. A lot of great players coming out of the North American region. That I think it's going to be very fun to see. Jean-Marc Hebert, who is one of their managers, absolutely full of great results.
Yes, definitely. A manager who tends to co-manage for the Blizzards with Patrick Donegan from earlier. So yes, another person who has a lot of management experience, seeing how much they can carry the team. We have Marcus Dion getting top 32 in the Indy regionals, and then similar top 32 in the Vancouver regional. Goes by Strider. We have Turtle Mania, Tid Vicious, NJ11, Neil. Sableye VGC. I mean, these are all names that, if you have a Lively Twitter feed, you might see them all the time from both, their kind of Twitter banter, but also their results. So, yeah, really excited to see if their results there can transfer over to the World Cup.
For sure. And now we get to pull from Group 4. It's so amazing to see, there were so many names in these, and I'm like amazed at how quickly they've gone. Group
Another
4,
LATAM, 4 out of
I know.
4.
I know. For pot 1, it is not a Latin American country. I am sorry for pot 4 for Group I. It is going to be Greece. So our very own Costa is going to have to be playing against a bunch of people in that Latin American time zone. He is one of the managers we'll be casting with us throughout this World Cup as well. But again, a lot of great results here from Greece.
Yes, definitely. Pasteur, someone who got a top 32 at the recent Lille Regional. Also, someone who had a really impressive showing at the recent NPA from this year. To be, also co-managing with Costa. And yeah, lots of names we might know of, like Lyakos, getting a championship at both the Smogon Major and Mount Moon end of the year tournament. Yeah, just a lot of talent here, and excited to see if they will be the only non-Latin American team to make it out of this group, or if it's just going to be a Latin American domination.
Yeah, I think everybody else was thrilled about my time zone choice until Greece came in. However, for Group J, pulling from pot three here against El Salvador, Israel, and Taiwan. This is going to, I think, be a really interesting team as well because El Salvador and Taiwan are both incredibly strong, and they will be facing off with Israel against Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico is a team, interesting to see Puerto Rico get to have such a great run last year with that top 32. A lot of really strong players here. And I mean, I think they were kind of a stunner last year with how well they did.
Yes, definitely. I mean, just looking at the list right here, I mean, most of them don't even have a Twitter. So a lot of the information gathering might be concentrated on a couple players, and still, yeah, they made it through the qualifying, yeah, into top 32 last year. So really, really an impressive. Backed by Arc Sabi, getting finals in the top 8 in the DL tours. We have Jonathan Quinones, who got top 32 at C Caucus in 2022. And then finally, Quentin Collin, known as Galactic, was the run-up senior in EUIC. So yeah, really, really extreme mix of experienced players and some who are quite new. So excited to see how they'll fare in Group J.
Yep, and to pull from my very last team from pot three for Group K, Luxembourg, Finland, and Chile, that is going to be the Philippines. So the Philippines will be in Group K, joining Luxembourg, Finland, and Chile, which I think is going to be a really fun group to watch. Chile and Finland are two teams I really hope to put on a show, especially with newcomer Luxembourg in that group. You've got a lot of really interesting results in here too. Some invites for day one Worlds this year. You've got a couple of the top 4 Philippine nationals 2022 and Richard Rafael Perez as well. And then I think if you want to go through, even Arben Tumanang is a name that's very familiar to me. Regionals top 16 at Secaucus this year. Very, very strong New England presence, kind of the New Jersey, New York scene as well.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, we have like Richard Rafael Perez, who got top 4 at the Nationals this year as well. So yeah, having their own circuit, they have a lot of opportunities to practice, in real life events. So yeah, let's see how they do in the World Cup this year. Seeing if they can do better than last year.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have your own circuit, the Oceania region, like these guys do, you have to imagine it gets pretty tight knit there, with the players that you
Definitely.
play, because it is a bit of a smaller community because you don't have access to that worldwide circuit like they used to. However, I have my final one, and I have the final from pot four for Group L. This is our very last drawing, and it is going to be the newcomers Jamaica. Jamaica has a very fun logo. I loved this one when it
Very
came
fun.
out. I am super excited to see this team come through. I think it's going to be a really interesting format, to see so many players from Jamaica who you don't really get to work with as much, but there is a lot of really consistent and good results in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first one comes to mind is Tyler Alexander going by Zardichar VGC, getting 33rd place, just missing out on top 32, probably mostly on resistance or something at the Utah Regionals. We have Eric Stewart, known as Silver Broom, getting top 64 at the Indiana Regionals, and also the Rose Tar Quarantine Challenge, a top 16 finish there. So yeah, and we have 2 managers, Michael Rennan and Kevon Borland, who got top 32 at the Utah Regionals this year as well. So yeah, a good amount of people who have gotten results in the 2022 rule set. And I've also been playing as early on as 2014 in Eric Stewart's case. So yeah, I mean, it's a new team and we'll see how far they can go. But that's it. We have all the groups.
We have all of the groups, and I mean, of course, there are some that are absolutely horrifying. Group D and Group E, especially, even looking as well. I think Group A, anywhere Japan is a team that I want to watch because Japan matches are always so fun. This format, each team will be playing each other. So for the first week, it'll be spots 1 and 2 will play each other, 3 and 4 will play each other. The next week, it'll be 1 and 3 and 2 and 4, I believe, and then the week after that'll be 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. I know that's a lot of numbers, but I hope that makes sense there. But I think we have kept you all long enough. I am sure the suspense has been absolutely crazy. But Yuki, I am very excited for this. These, again, if you did not see these teams come up, they are not in the qualifying stage. They are in the group stage on next because of their seeding in last year's event.
Yes, so it'll be definitely exciting to see what kind of teams come up from who we just drafted just now to come up against the top 8 from last year and see, what kind of overtaking we can see.
Yeah, again, just for the rundown, it's China, Spain, Italy, Thailand, the United States. Excuse me, I did miss a couple as we did move on. But again, this is how this is going to shape up. Just a big reminder, we will be taking a week off for the World Championships. We did not do that last year just because there was no World Championships and they had all of us just on call every weekend, which now we do not, which is, was fun at the time, but now very exciting that so many of these players will get to travel. Again, there are over 650 players for this event. So it's going to be great to see that many players on a global scale along, with their managers, some of whom are not playing, but very fun to have them move on. And then, of course, once these teams get cut down from the 48 to the 24, you add the 8 in that originally got top 8 last year and we'll be moving on to the group stage. You get the 32, and then you get to move on to top 16.
Definitely, and with thanks to our generous sponsors, Elgato G Tour and Metafy, we have the $5,000 in prizes. So maybe if you're a European country or maybe in the East Coast of the U.S., you might be able to just fund your world trip just by winning this whole thing. So yeah, really, really excited to see how this all ties up with the World Championships. Just such an incredible opportunity. So yeah, big thanks to Victory Road for putting this together.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to see some pretty funky teams. And especially, that Worlds, even though there is that break, you do kind of hope maybe you can retroactively pay yourself back with that money if you win that top 16 afterwards in that playoff bracket. Again, this will be a great way for us to see kind of what these players are thinking going into Worlds. See even after Worlds what those playoff brackets bring, what teams, if you see the World Championship team 4 times from one team and then the full counter team on the other side of the field. It's super fun how that stuff sort of wraps up, especially with a format with 2 restricteds. However, that does it for this week, but we will be back next week for the very first weekend of the Victory Road World Cup of Pokemon VGC, which is, I'm so excited to say that. I've been waiting almost a year to say that, Yuki, and I cannot wait to have you on the broadcasting booth as well.
I'm super excited to be here, as someone who was managing last year, but being on the commentating side of things, really excited to get the whole big picture, seeing how everyone's doing, and just being able to cast some incredible matches that we're inevitably going to have. So yeah, just really excited for this. And yeah, I think everyone can look forward to the stream matches happening as early as next weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, that does wrap it up for us, though. We will see you next weekend with our very first set of these qualifying stage matches. So do not go anywhere but here next weekend for Saturday and Sunday.